Thank you. I want us now to wrap up on it, and we'll look at what is on the front page of the Star this morning. Of course, in light of the swearing in of the cabinet secretaries, and of course also they took office yesterday, Kenyatta's two super CSs will control 500 billion shillings, two extra large ministries whose budget will concentrate power and determine implementation of President's Big Four legacy projects. Let's begin with you, Boni Khalwale, on this particular super CSs who will control 500 billion shillings. And as I mentioned, we're given to understand from the Lands Ministry, that particular docket of urban housing and urban development has also been moved to the Ministry of Transport. And of course, it's the leeway. The President has the prerogative to do what he wants with those particular dockets. But the fact that we have this also being moved to that particular ministry, why do you think James Macharia is saddled with all these responsibilities? Is it really up to scratch? Is he a super performer that is actually can handle all these particular three dockets? And what is left of the Lands Ministry?
Uhuru has been very candid that for the next 5 years he's going to concentrate on those 4 agenda items. And I would like to laud the Deputy President of how quickly he has smelled the coffee. If Kenyans care to remember, he has toned down on attacking us in the opposition. Why? Because he has realized that upon establishment of those 4 agenda items, the President has now laid a foundation on who is going to control those 4 and the money that will follow. And this is why it did not happen by accident that when President Uhuru named James Macharia as the cabinet secretary, he did not stop there. Mm-hmm. After giving them transport, giving him housing, and giving him the transport, housing, and what else?
Urban development.
And urban development, he has gone ahead, President Uhuru, and added him a permanent secretary for housing called Charles Maura. You know where he comes from, Mount Kenya. PS Roads, Paul Hinga. You know where he comes from, Mount Kenya. PS Maritime, you know where she called Nancy Garigidru. You know where she comes from, Mount Kenya. And quickly, James Macharia responded by now appointing Mary Chege, Sakaria Mungai, and Ronald Ndegwa to be in charge of the Nairobi Metropolitan Area Council. So the foundation has been laid to control those billions. Kenyans should not forget that housing was originally with the, what is the name of the lady, Koske? Who? With the one of agriculture. I mean, Felix. The one of lands.
Karone.
The Karone, the one who is rumored to be related to the deputy president.
That's a lie.
No, rumored.
That's a lie. But allow me to educate you.
How do you come from Karimbe? You don't know. You come from
But allow me to educate you. It's a lie.
Thank you.
Leave it, Boni. It's a lie.
So they have taken away the housing bit and taken it to Macharia's docket. So that Ruto can do his running around. I hope if this was a strategy of fundraising for Deputy President, Mr. Deputy President, you have fundraised enough for the last 5 years. Use those billions to face us in 2022. But it's good you have started smelling the coffee. Thank you.
All right. In light of what actually Boni Khalwale was saying, I think those are the Kenya Gazette notice published by the Authority of the Republic of Kenya. The director may just pick up on it on the 9th of February 2018. And this is what he says: the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority order, in excess of the powers conferred by paragraph 8, subsection 2 of the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority, and you've given that number as well. The Nairobi Metropolitan Area Council appoints Mary Waithiegeni Chege and also Zakaria Karenge Mungai, Ronald Ndirangu Ndegwa to be members of the Nairobi Metropolitan Transport Authority Board. When you're talking about the face of Kenya, we're wondering why we do not really have the face of Kenya on this as well. Maybe Kimano Matangi, you want to respond on this as well?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to respond. First, let me. The word that's going around here now this morning is educate.
Thanks to Dr.
more than it, but this one I can understand from Boni Halwale. You know, he's been missing in action for a while.
Yes.
And so he may require a lot
bit of
more,
education.
a bit of education, especially on civics and current affairs, because you know his naming of PSs is wrong. I'm going to forward to you a list of the PSs who are within the Ministry of Transport. And actually, the main PS, the one who is carrying the bulk of the work in the transport ministry is the PS Roads Correal.
Yeah, Julius Correal.
Julius Correal. So those names that you're mentioning are actually not the PSs. So
what are they?
But I already requested that I educate you. Now in the course of education you're making noise. You know, so.
Listen in class.
in class. So first, the PS Roads is called Correal. So withdraw the other name. Now, the second education I may want to give now to all of us this morning is largely, and we have not gone into the details of really all the 4 CSs. I'm sure that we should be able to go into those details in this discussion, because that is going to give us the best opportunity for us to look at really what is the intention of government right now in concentrating a lot of knowledge, wealth of experience behind some of these PSs in line with ensuring that what the government has promised Kenyans is going to be true. So let's come to that debate. But before coming to that debate, I want now to mention something about that board that you have just mentioned names. And my take on it is this, that if Debarl and panel this morning, that we still want to constrict ourselves to that shallow thinking as of today, that we want to go down to even the lowest cadre. And when a small board is nominated somewhere, and a board comprising of so many other people in a ministry with 4 major departments that employs thousands of Kenyans across, doing work all over the country, and like I said last time in the show, including building one of the big roads in Kakamega itself and bridges all over this country. And then we want to narrow our thinking and talk and debate about a board somewhere down there. And you know, the law in this country requires that when you appoint a board, the minimum number of members are 7. And so if you're having 7 people, why are you picking on 4 names? And if you would want to do that with fairness, then why don't you list all the boards and say that all these boards comprise so and so? What I'm saying, Debarl, is it would do us better in image, in terms of acceptability by Kenyans, if we move away from debates that are shallow, that have got no usefulness. And I will tell you lastly, and tell my colleagues, especially Boni Halwale, who has brought that issue, there is no one who is more Kenyan than the other Kenyan. We're all Kenyans. And so this habit you have of going to pick on a name that when you hear the name Wamatangi, then you want to make a big deal because you heard it as Wamatangi,
right,
and then you want to ask Wamatangi if is from Kiambu and make a big deal of it. We are as Kenyan as everybody else. And no apologies to make Boni Halwale because I'm born in Kiambu and I'm called Wamatangi. If I get a position, I will serve the way a Kenyan called Halwale will serve. And so stop bringing this guilt conscience thing that every time when a Kenyan from either central Kenya is appointed in a position, that we have to look apologetic, that they have got an opportunity to serve. There are thousands of Kenyans serving in different capacities in bigger positions in this country. All over, from
let's say from Jacomi Dio,
so let's not go that
when you're talking about the constitution of boards as well, and we want the first of Kenya, we will at all accounts, or looking at all broad spectrums of what we're actually talking about when it comes to the Gazette notice. This is a Gazette notice. It's not picked some names, or there's no cherry picking. This is what has been gazetted.
Yeah.
Is it when you say that some names have been left out?
No,
which other names have been left out?
I can help you.
Okay, let's say from Jacoy, we'll come to you.
Okay.
Very briefly.
No, Debarl. Wamatangi is showing what Kenyans hate, what I hate as a Kenyan.
What do you hate?
Impunity.
Impunity.
You know, when you have 7 names and 4 are already Kikuyus, you know, this country, you know, no.
I have said,
Can I
list
talk?
the names of everybody in
No,
Kenya.
no, I am not.
Everybody.
You are the member of parliament. Go and ask for those names.
So why are you doing
Please.
selective thinking and talking?
Allow me to talk. What Boni has raised.
No, it's because
What
you want
Boni
to
has
is
raised.
it a shallow debate?
All right,
no.
just let
It is
Jacob
not
have his
shallow.
head, please.
It is,
Debate.
it is
It has
not
no
shallow.
content.
It is not shallow to talk about what is making Kenyans angry. And Debarl, it goes further than that. It would just be okay. It would have been okay if the civil service was never destroyed during the Nyayo days. The problem in this country is that we went so deep in destruction of in ethnicizing civil service, so that only 1 or 2 communities are there, and even civil service is half the civil service is populated with people who are incapable. And that is what is making politicians so powerful. That is what is making a politician, when Nyayo when he goes somewhere, he says, I want a road from here to there. There's no budget. So that people work backwards. Because the civil servants are people who are generally, who work at the whims of politicians. Let me educate Wamatangi. When we talk about exclusivity, you need not to talk about anything else. That is what is annoying Kenyans. When you constitute a cabinet where 55% is Kalenjins and Kikuyus, when we get a forum like this, we shall talk about it. That is what our duty is as public servants. When you tell us Kikuyus are also Kenyans, yes, but Rendilas are also Kenyans. Luyas are Kenyans.
But who said
Kisis
that,
are
they're
Kenyans.
not?
So that
Who said they're
two
not?
tribes, which constitute less than 20%
All right,
of
thank
Kenya,
you.
cannot take 55%. That is just a fact.
All right.
And it is also in our laws.
Let's say
But
from...
Jacoyo, that talk, we cannot sustain.
thank you,
that
thank you,
kind of
Wamatangi.
debate.
You had your time.
At national
All right, thank you.
level.
Let's hear from Aaron.
It is
Listen,
petty
Wamatangi,
and
please.
shallow.
Debarl.
Wamatangi, let's hear from Aaron, please.
You know, sometimes, Debarl, we lose very good salient points that we've raised when we lace it with propaganda, which is an unfortunate thing that my good friend Boni Halwale has done this morning.
Kenya Gazette
And
is propaganda.
Listen, Boni, I didn't speak when you're speaking. Allow me, okay? And what Jacoyo is
educate
doing.
him.
Because when Jacoyo goes before live television and says 55% of a cabinet is from Kikuyus and Kalenjin, he's lying. And he knows to the very bottom of his heart that that is not factual. This cabinet is as inclusive as can be. Number two,
he's
what
gossiping.
Boni Halwale is suffering from is hangover from the days of coalition government, where when you see a list of PSs, when you see a list of cabinet secretaries, all you imagine is who are Raila's people here, who are Kibaki's people here. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto are not running a coalition government. This is one government. It is a Jubilee government that has one vision, one manifesto. So these lenses of looking at it and saying that every time a department has been moved for strategic and more reasonable ideas and say we want to align it to the big four, you keep looking and second guessing and saying it is being moved from the Ruto side of the government to the to Kenyatta side of the government. It should stop, Boni. That does not exist in this government. And that is a point that we lose all this debate. While he may have had a point in regards to the Gazette notice, he completely loses it when he goes on and misleads the country that the 4 PSs that are in the Ministry of Infrastructure come from one community. That is not a fact. I know for a fact that the PS for infrastructure is one Mr. Julius Korir. I know for a fact that the PS for transport is one Mr. Paul Maringa. Do those come from the community that is naming?
And
so
the others?
the point is,
And the others?
listen,
And the others?
listen, the point is, every time you raise a point, raise it with credibility.
All right, thank you.
The minute you raise it
All
with
right.
propaganda like
thank
you're
you,
doing,
thank you very
lose
much.
the point.
Let's hear from Otene Molo briefly on this before you've been mealy-mouthed on this.
Thank you. Allow me to make 3 points, Debarl. First of all, from where I stand, this regime is unlawful and operating unlawfully. And on this question, the chickens are coming home to roost. As between the two major formations of the Jubilee coalition, Senator Cheriot knows he's speaking tongue-in-cheek, that the 4 areas that they have given themselves as priority areas, all those who are holding those dockets belong to the faction of Uhuru Kenyatta and not William Ruto. That's the first point. The second point is a very fundamental point. It is a fact, and we can go back to this analysis. The cabinet as constituted currently is unlawful in terms of the requirements of the constitution. 55% of the cabinet belong to Kalenjin and Kikuyu.
That's a lie.
Allow me.
Just let him finish.
And this is something that can be demonstrated. And you see the problem with Senator Matangi and Senator Cheruiyot, they want to read the constitution as a Bible. And so I think I'll need more time to educate both of them on this, but that will happen after this show. Under Article 130 and 152, the cabinet includes the president, the deputy president, and the attorney general. That's a total of 25. Go through those names. I dare you, and we can put it on screen right now, it's exactly 55% Kikuyu and Kalenjin. Come to the principal secretaries. The principal secretaries, 11 of them are Kikuyu and Kalenjin. Out of 22, that is 50% at bare minimum. And you can come down to the unlawful position of chief administrative secretary. But the more fundamental point is that cabinet is unlawfully constituted in terms of ethnicity. It is unlawfully constituted in terms of gender because it's only 25% of the opposite gender, 6 out of 25. Mm-hmm. That is less than, in fact, slightly less than 25%. Yet it should be at least 1/3. It should be 33%. Now, the unfortunate thing is that where then those who are unlawfully constituted get the opportunity, where the constitution is not expressed, then they get to 90%, between 70 and 90% within those two ethnicities. And that's what we just saw. And we can go through many other departments, and you will find that that is the position. We don't need to debate this. We don't need to argue on this. All we need to go to the Public Service Commission report of last year, released in September last year, in terms of new employments and promotions. That report demonstrates with numbers, with exactitude, that almost 70% of those either employed newly or promoted belong to those two communities. And it gives numbers. What this means is that we are operating in total breach of the Constitution, Chapter 6, Article 130, Article 232, which requires diversity.
Thank you.
In all this, it is not gainsaying, and it's not as Senator Matangi says that we are talking about small things. We cannot talk cohesion. We cannot talk inclusivity if every opportunity that comes, you only find either somebody from either of those two tribes as befitting. We can't move forward.
All right, let's say from Boni.
Thank you.
We'll go sequentially.
I just wanted to plead with Senator Matangi. If you must educate me, I am ready, I am willing, but please don't educate me on Kideri knowledge. Reason being, since you are now in the habit of suspending things, including suspending the right to possess a passport, have you also suspended the Constitution, which provides that there shall be a regional and ethnic balance? Save me your Kederi knowledge.
All right, before we come to you, just to raise another point as we're winding up as well. We have also, because we're given to understand this particular docket of urban and rural development is falling within the ambit of transport as well right now. We have the Council of Governors, and they elected their leaders as well. And we do have the Council of Governors had elected or has elected Governor Ferdinand Waititu Babayao, chairman of the Land, Physical Planning and Urban Development Committee, and of course he's the governor of Kiambu as well. World Bank, I'm given to understand, is about to dole out a huge tranche of money to the counties as well for urban development. Is this the strategy that you're talking about? That even now also the Council of Governors, the chair, is Ferdinand Waititu, and he's actually the chair of Land, Physical Planning and Urban Development. And I'm given to understand Kiambu as well will be the biggest beneficiary of this as well. Yeah, is that the case? Let's hear from Chiru, but then we'll come to you as we're winding up.
Where do you get these stories, Debarl? Because I'm beginning to suspect you are hanging out with the wrong crowd. The wrong crowd.
I want you to correct me. No. First of all,
Debarl,
no, just a moment.
allow me to make this point.
Is it a fact that World Bank will not be doling out this money to the counties?
Yes, it is a fact.
Fantastic.
But
then,
it is not a fact.
No.
It is not a fact.
Is it
that
a pure?
Kiambu,
That's what I'm asking.
It is not a fact.
You talked
that
of strategy.
Kiambu will enjoy the lion's share of this because unless aren't you the one?
Okay.
Aren't you the one, Debarl, who told us this morning that before we make a presentation, unless it is factually backed, we should not be.
But I have this from my credible sources. I cannot reveal.
Who are these
know it's a
sources?
fact.
Where have you been hanging out of late, Debarl?
Carry on with you. That's my credible source.
My point is, Debarl, sometimes even acts of good intention, they tend to get lost in the whole haze and myriad of NASA propaganda that is so spewed out and laced together with the Constitution perfectly by none other than Dr. Atiende Amolo. Dr. Atiende Amolo is a good lad, but unfortunately, sometimes and on many occasions, he rolls between his half-truths inside sections of a Constitution that you can easily get lost and think that what he's saying is factual. I have challenged him and told him for a fact, it is not true that 55% of the cabinet comes from 2 communities. That is a lie. We can list the 25 names right here if you want it, Debarl, and you will find that that is not factual. Yes, they know that it is not factual what you're saying, Bonnie. Number 2, when you speak about the elections of Council of Governors, is it not a fact that Council of Governors, when they meet, they do elections and all the 47 governors get to participate in this election?
All right.
So what is the crime?
Okay, the question would be, What was this election unanimously done? Or actually some of the governors were shoehorned to elect some of the leaders?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
because
like the vice chair, we give it to understand they were shoehorned. If you talk to some of the governors, they were shoehorned to elect some of the leaders.
Debarl, probably you're hanging out with the wrong crowd lately.
No. I have my facts right. I do.
You cannot say that honorable men elected on a county seat called governors can be shoehorned by anybody. And these are people who sit down and agree. This is a person. Right. If that was the case, why would we be interested in the vice chair Jubilee and leave the chair in none other than deputy party leader of ODM, Josephat Nanok? He's still the serving chair.
But isn't the
that
shoehorning going on?
Democratic isn't
the shoehorning going on even now with the public accounts committee or the public service commission
that's
as well?
Not true. That's not true.
All right, let's hear from
Jacob. Where you are eating.
No. Let's hear from Jacob.
First of all, you can see how Chariot is struggling. He's a good man. We know he needs the Utiende's vote, which is generally our vote. We will vote you in because you are the more reasonable one. Even if you take ship, there is always a leader. So you are the leader of the ship. We will ask Utiende to give you his vote.
You are being unfair.
This, Debarl, the Gazette notice which you read of this organization called Namata. It goes further to say that other members is the CEC and the Chief Officer of Nairobi. Those 2 gentlemen are also Kikuyus. So 2 plus 3 is 5 out of 7. So, they are going to conduct a meeting over billions of Kenyan borrowed money on behalf of taxpayers using a tribal language, an ethnic language. That is a fact. Chariot, I am helping you. I am helping you because when you come and try to cheerlead Wamatangi and his people for ruling us wrongly, you will regret it. This has happened before. It will happen again. What we must do as a country is to say, please, people have died to create a new constitution. Let us live by its tenets. Why can't we just follow the law? The issue of inclusivity, it's all in the Constitution. We went years and years, and even people were killed on how we wanted to live together.
Thank you.
So that when somebody somewhere wakes up, Debarl, I also find it very curious that in all the appointments that have come out of State House in the last 1 month have been through Twitter, the Donald Trump way.
It is a new way of doing
it. I kind of think that there's a clique around the presidency particularly the clique that is against the DP, that are doing all these bad things. Because if you have 7, I would even say, put them together, at least the Kalajis wapate kidogo.
Thank you.
And these are the people wapate kidogo.
Thank
But
you.
they are taking everything. So that clique, you must know that now there
Thank
is
you.
nobody who is not from Wamatangi's tribe who is working at State
All right,
House.
Wamatangi, finally, and those also will be your closing remarks, as I will give others 30 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
fine. I'm glad that Senator Cheriot has at least my good friend Debarl warned you a little bit to stop hanging out with the wrong crowd, because actually, you know, when you're trying to justify your facts, you see, you're saying that we are made to understand. We are made to understand.
Sources.
So who is this that's making you to understand these facts? And those could be the wrong people. But quickly, let me also say to my neighbor here, Jacoyo Medio and Boni Halwali, remember what they were told here last week, and I want to remind them that the appointments are not yet over. They would rather watch what they're saying, because when they were expecting something, they're talking very nicely.
We need to wind up. Let him finish. Please, he's winding up. Jacoyo, let him finish.
You know, because you have to make sense, Debarl, between Boni Halwale's Ingoho intellect and what he is calling my
Okay, we need to wind up now.
You know, Jacoyo, my friend Daktari Otiende Amolo, Daktari Otiende Amolo, you cannot say that when we make real references that can be interpreted by a pedestrian on the street on the Constitution, that we are reading the Constitution as a Bible. Because that does not also allow you, because of your intellect, to read the Constitution as an activist's manual. You see? I mean, because that's the difference. The Constitution says what it means, and that's what we interpret. And Debarl, in the future, that would be my closing remark, we must make sure that on this panel, when an allegation or a claim like that is made, then it has got to be substantiated, elaborated by tabling facts. Because once you allow people to just make remarks here and run away with them, not really bringing the facts on the table, like what you heard, that the appointments in this cabinet, amongst the PSS, are these numbers, that is a lie. But you know why? And I want to finalize with that. You see, for example, like in the appointments, ask Jacoyo Midiwo or Otiende Amolo. They have never recognized the appointment of somebody like Rachel Mamo or even Tuju. You know why? They say the consequences of those people in their own parameters do not satisfy. That those are representatives of the communities.
Right.
That's why they will say they're not represented.
Because
they want specific people in the cabinet.
Thank you very much.
Mamo,
Closing
Tuju,
remarks.
Ken Obura, all those people are from the community.
Why don't they Dr. Otiende, your closing remarks. 30 seconds.
One, although he promised last week to table what he will have found from the servers, Senator Cheriot, he has not done so. But I still assure him that I will give him my vote. But at least let him concede that there are no results of 8 August that have ever been provided. Number 2, contrary to Senator Matangi, I want to tell all Kenyans that under Article 12.2, you are entitled to a Kenyan passport, and no one can take away that from you, whether you're from Kiambu or Turkana, whether you're from Siaya or Kichogyo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Boni Halwale.
I've got only one comment that has been provoked by Senator Wamatangi.
Yes, sir.
The businessman in Kakamega by the name of Julius Mwale, he's even in today's Standard.
Is he?
I want to appeal to the media to be professional.
To be professional?
They should stop prosecuting Julius Mwale. Persecuting Julius Mwale, attempting to jail him over the issue of unpaid bills. Even governments, including the government of the United States of America and even that one of China, has got pending bills.
He's on which page?
Julius Mwale, it is on page 17 of the Standard. Julius Mwale has done more that we are seeing on the ground than what this reporting is purporting to say. He has already done 70 kilometers of tarmac road in the village. He's built the first shopping mall in the village in Kakamega. He has created employment over the last 3 years to thousands of young people who do construction work at his project.
Well,
we are happy with it. Let him thrive. The government should support this kind of
He's supporting
all right,
the
thank you.
government.
All right, thank you. Let's hear
That's
from.
why he's
We're winding up.
My closing
It is the
remarks-
media, as you're
Just a
saying.
moment. Wamatangi.
Yes.
Aaron Cheriot, please.
My closing remarks will be this. The art of nation building is not a simple task. And there will be rough rides and patches along the way. But it is bestowed upon men and women like the honorable members on this panel before you this morning, Debarl, to always be truthful, factual, and not laze their arguments with propaganda, as my colleagues from NASA are so prone in doing. Let us be sincere. If there are things that you think you don't genuinely agree with the administration, please raise it in a honest and sincere way. We are willing and able to listen, and
Right.
we'll make amends.
Video. 30 seconds.
Let me support Bonnie on this, this gentleman, this investor. It is, you know, it's written law, Bonnie, that Luos, lawyers, rendiles must not have money. That is why where there is money, this ethnic chauvinists go there and appoint themselves. But lastly, let me tell you, Wamatangi, my friend, you will never hear the end of this Ukabilaism that you people are trying to take us back to. We have legislated against it. We have put it in law.
Thank
we
you.
are not scared about forcing us do the wrong, forcing us for not traveling and deporting us. We will force you.
Thank you.
And there is a wave going across the continent
Thank you.
and the world.
30 seconds
you
are
will
done.
be a victim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.